Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're a new viewer, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you're ready for some major drama out of the Sister Wives universe. Let's get right into it because things are heating up. Sister Wives cast member Ciara Rulli is making headlines after the most recent installment of Season 19's Tell All. The drama between Kody Brown and his former wives has come to a head, and the audience is having a hard time turning away. But what actually got everyone talking online is Robyn Brown's move to keep low-key and steer clear of any drama, something that's only piqued fans more. Even before getting to Sedona to shoot the tell-all, Robyn made it quite clear she didn't want anything to do with the one-on-one interviews. She even professed she'd rather get a root canal done than sit for the special. Kody extended his support, but Robyn refused, claiming she was counting on her faith instead. Refusal notwithstanding, Robyn and Kody still arrived to film, though her body language and attitude spoke for themselves. But tensions quickly ran high in the second half of the tell-all. Robyn revealed how exhausted she is feeling from always being in the crosshairs. She confessed that she's exhausted being at the center of all things and wishes the attention could be off of her. Viewers of the series will recognize that much of the ex-wives believe Robyn's arrival into the family signified the start of the end. By way of response, Robyn hoped that other women would refrain from bringing her into their narratives and rather keep themselves in their own stories. Janelle Brown, on the other hand, introduced a more balanced view. In her interview, she explained that although everyone faults Robyn, the blame doesn't fall on her shoulders alone. Janelle stated that it takes two to shatter a family, and Kody's behavior was no less responsible for the breakdown of the family. However, not everyone shares that view. On social media, followers had a lot to say regarding Robyn's emotional reactions. Some called her manipulative, noting how she likes playing the victim, yet wishes to be regarded as everyone's favorite in the family. Others claimed that Robyn needed attention and needed the whole family dynamics to be about her. With this not happening, they now feel she is trying to fade away from the story. One very biting remark captured the fan attitude best. Robyn wanted the women whose marriages she helped destroy to give her a public blessing on TV. That's not someone living in reality. Others jumped in, calling her extremely selfish and delusional for believing she's still the center of everyone's universe. But just when it couldn't get more dramatic, Christine Brown joined the discussion, and she did not spare any words. On the first two tell-all episodes, Christine let Kody have it. She made her feelings about him very clear. She was visibly angry while he attempted to assert that he loved all his wives in the same way. She immediately refuted his words, denouncing what she viewed as lies and half-truths. Her anger reached a peak when Kody, during a viewing of an old clip with Mary, proclaimed Robyn was his only wife. Christine was having none of it, and the tension was palpable. Then a huge twist hit that amazed fans again. Rumors started circulating that Christine had served Kody with court documents right before the tell-all was being filmed. Fans think that sudden court action was the reason why Kody was so cold and bitter during the interviews. What actually went down? Based on fan speculations and podcast rumors, Christine might have sued Kody for child support just a few weeks prior to filming. This would have occurred roughly 6 months following the fatal loss of Garrison, making the timeline even more emotionally charged. The theory is that Kody's ego suffered a fatal blow. If he were there to be a conscious father, then litigation wouldn't have been necessary. However, since Christine had to run through the courts to obtain support, this said quite a few words to viewers. Kody didn't take it well. He declined to come on a double-date feature with Christine and grew visibly irritated when the subject was broached. He even informed host Sukanya Krishnan that he hasn't had any contact with Christine in nearly 2 years, something that fans were shocked to hear considering their history and co-parenting obligations. At the end of the day, Christine makes it clear, no more friendship between her and Kody, not after what happened. And as fans pointed out, Kody hasn't grown, humbled himself, or shown a willingness to take accountability. So, where does the Brown family go from here? The cracks are wide open, the wounds are fresh, and reconciliation seems farther away than ever. Stay tuned, because if this tell-all has taught us one thing, it's that the drama is hardly over. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's explosive episode, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. It helps us bring you more behind-the-scenes truths from the world of sister wives. And believe me, you're going to want to stick around for this one. The tension is higher than ever. In the latter half of Season 19's tell-all, Christine Brown does something that very few anticipated. She touches base with Mary in an act of surprising camaraderie. At a family gathering, Christine hugged Mary and spoke about how gorgeous life is on the other side of the world. Many fans think she was really pushing Mary away from Kody's toxicity, just like she herself had done. As Christine sees it, freedom from Kody's deceptions and emotional manipulation is not just a possibility, it's transformative. Mary accepted the gesture, but she didn't conceal the history between them. She acknowledged there was no trust. Not exactly, not after all of it. The moment was raw, and it established the emotional tenor for the remainder of the tell-all. When the cameras returned to the studio, the atmosphere was crisp and sterile, a silent stage keeping more secrets than it could possibly contain. Robin Brown entered the room, obviously reluctant, emotionally removed. She did not stroll onto that set with confidence. Her posture, her eyes, even the way she was speaking, all rang the same message to him: "I don't want to be here." And she had made this clear before showing up to Sedona. If it was up to her, she said, she would gladly subject herself to a root canal without anesthesia than to relive those painful memories made through cameras in front of an entire studio. Kody attempted to reassure her, but Robin cut him off. Only God could save her now, she insisted. Despite her discomfort, Robin showed up. She spoke, and what came out wasn't just unease, it was deflection. She said she was tired. Tired of being blamed. Tired of being the name brought up in every explanation for the family's breakdown. All she wanted now was peace. But peace, it seems, is a long way off when you're seen as the epicenter of the storm. The other wives also had their tales. And yes, they didn't mention Robin's name in every sentence, but when they did, it was heavy. One of them, a thoughtful reflector, expressed it so well. Yes, people blame the newest wife, but it's never that easy. The downfall of this family required more than one pair of hands. Nevertheless, it's difficult to overlook the effect Robin's had, deliberate or not. Robin's answers didn't sit well with the audience. The viewers took to social media, upset at what they perceived as an effort to rewrite her part in the drama. Some of them accused her of wanting to vanish from the story now that it no longer portrays her in a golden light. Others figured that she always sought to be the center of attention, to be the beloved one, the pretty one, the young one. And now that her image is breaking apart, her vulnerability resembles evasiveness. One especially scathing remark painted Robin as a person who never really fit into the family, that she stayed emotionally isolated, circling only around Kody, craving his attention, his approval, maybe even the audience's as well. The same audience members who previously felt sympathetic towards her were now viewing her efforts to justify herself as dishonest, even manipulative. This wasn't an individual simply seeking compassion, they maintained. This was an individual who had assisted in dismantling marriages, now expecting forgiveness on TV. And forgiveness doesn't work that way. Not when you're denying your role while standing under studio lights surrounded by the women who live through the consequences of your actions. One fan said it best: Robin isn't stuck in the present. She's haunted by a version of the past where she did nothing wrong, where everyone else just misunderstood her pure intentions. But intentions no longer matter here. The only thing that matters now is impact. And while the past binds Robin, the other wives are forging ahead. One is starting a business, making old aspirations into reality. Another is traveling, meeting new people, and reclaiming happiness. A third is embracing romantic freedom and creating a new self-worth. These women are rewriting their lives, far outside the shadow of one broken promise from a man. And still, Robin's name remains. She longs to disappear from their talk, to be forgotten in their tales. But even that too tells us a lot. You can't share a history and then choose to opt out of the repercussions. You can't leave a story that defined, and somehow broke, so many lives. The truth? It's ugly, it's hurtful. It doesn't have neat endings or convenient redemption. But it is real, and as long as these stories keep happening, the reverberations of what did happen won't be muffled, not even by the one who most wants to erase them. Maybe she didn't plan to break anything. Maybe she imagined she was delivering something lovely. Love, dedication, a stable presence. But intent doesn't erase consequence. As the cameras panned out and the conversations drew to a close, she looked fatigued. Not the kind of weariness that sleep fixes, but the kind born of resisting reflection. Even as she said that she would be content to be omitted from the story, her eyes told something different. She wanted to be heard. She wanted to be seen, not as a monster, but as one who had only loved and dreamed and attempted. But tales related in many voices don't grant anyone the luxury of an editor's last cut. The others would still keep speaking her name, for they had that right, because their pain was genuine as well, and if peace was what she sought, possibly the initial step wasn't requiring silence, perhaps it was to listen. A woman, once devoted to a polygamous union, came with intent, in her hand not just a folder of papers, but years of careful disappointment and broken expectations. The man before her, once her spiritual counterpart, now stood before proceedings he had long sought to evade. The weight of what was coming would stretch well beyond the antiseptic walls of that courtroom. It would spill into camera sets and living rooms across the world. For months, rumors had swirled, but when she filed a formal appeal to the court for financial support for their children, the veil was lifted. This was not a spontaneous act. It was the final line in a struggle that had turned bitter long ago. It became a mirror. Why had she filed for support just before filming began? Online conversations buzzed with theories. Perhaps circles of influence knew the cameras would bring scrutiny. Perhaps they underestimated how much. One timeline, reported across fan spaces, was hard to ignore. Late spring, the patriarch passed away. July, she filed for financial accountability. Early September, she arrived on set, ready not just to defend her narrative, but her children. This wasn't a media stunt, it was a boundary, a declaration that polished filming schedules no longer concealed chronic mistreatment. Observers noticed the shift. He seemed less careful, less protected. The smirk so familiar in earlier seasons was gone, replaced by a tense awareness that the fights were no longer avoidable. In online forums, fans didn't hold back. He looks defeated. This isn't just camera pressure, he's falling apart. If he truly cared, she wouldn't have had to go to court. He hides behind cameras and showmances. The most passionate voices didn't blame her, they blamed him. She wasn't seeking drama or sympathy, she was seeking accountability, and now he couldn't help but face it. It was survival. That need to provide her youngest daughter with financial security had long been in the forefront. That she was familiar with cameras was incidental. During taping, her message was quiet but firm. She encouraged another former partner, newly self-assured, to embrace freedom, to step beyond the shadow of shared history. Her tone wasn't spiteful, it was supportive. She didn't need to claim moral high ground. This time, the man at the center wasn't just scrutinized, he was emotionally raw, cornered by what had already been said in legal documents. Critics hypothesized, coincidence that the court date fell just before taping began, or catalyst. Mistrust, already aired in public, hit hard during one especially emotional segment. He said he had always treated his former partners with the same care and respect. Her response wasn't rage, it was quiet clarity. His version of events didn't match what people had watched for years. A clip from archives demonstrated his relationship with an ex-spouse. When questioned about what she meant to him, he stuttered, tripped over his words. Presented with the challenge of aligning words once uttered with actions long abandoned, he stumbled. She looked from him to the camera, and in that silence, a judgment was made. It wasn't ancient footage being dug up, it was ancient wounds, wounds too deep to ever be forgotten. That message resonated with many watchers. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can say is, "Your freedom matters more than what was promised." It was her moment of solidarity amid a shattered network, the youngest partner standing behind the one who had found her voice first. A burst of silence. One remarkable moment emerged not through argument, but through refusal. When asked about collaboration or future friendship, he deflected, as if the court proceedings had upended the norms of how they were supposed to be. She, on the other hand, was calm, no recriminations, simply being, allowing the silence to speak, the oppression of it. Under her calmness, an undercurrent resided. When words are withheld, people go through hoops, and sometimes the quietest person is posing the most booming questions. It was a moment that distilled the tension. He on guard, she unflinching. Two warring narratives colliding under the lights of the studio. Onlookers observed him wave toward future prospects, promising engagement, participation, support. But the cut was abrupt, to court documents, to payment records, to calls ignored, to visitation that arrived in waves, then disappeared. The disparity was jarring, announced intent versus recorded action. Not just a disagreement, but an abyss between public promise and personal behavior. Within the following seconds, her stance balanced between fatigue and determination. "I didn't do this for fun," she whispered. "I did it because it was necessary." A final line, etched not in anger but in acceptance. Then, as if marking a return to reality, the episode faded. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Get more updates daily. See you soon. The sign-off was routine, but the moment wasn't.